Have you ever noticed how the more stressed you feel, the more your belly seems to grow? You're not imagining it. Chronic stress triggers a hormone that quietly sabotages your metabolism, your cravings, and your body's ability to burn fat. That hormone is cortisol. And today, we're uncovering how it's keeping you from losing weight, no matter how healthy you eat or how hard you exercise. Welcome to Woman Healthy Tips, the channel where we uncover the real science behind women's wellness so you can feel confident, balanced, and strong. In today's video, we're diving deep into how cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, can be the silent reason your weight just won't budge. You'll not only learn why it happens, but also how to fix it. So, take a deep breath, relax, and let's get started. Have you ever noticed how your body seems to resist change, no matter how clean your diet is or how regularly you exercise? There's something deeper going on that most people never talk about, something happening beneath the surface that quietly controls how your body stores fat, how hungry you feel, and how your energy rises and falls throughout the day. That hidden force is cortisol, your body's main stress hormone, and it might be the reason you're struggling to lose stubborn weight, especially around your belly. The body is wired for survival, and cortisol is one of its most powerful tools for protecting you. But in our modern world, that same survival tool can easily become the reason your metabolism slows, your cravings spiral, and your progress stalls. Understanding how cortisol works is the first step toward taking control of your health again. Cortisol is often called the body's built-in alarm system. It's produced by the adrenal glands and released in response to stress, whether that stress comes from real danger or just everyday pressure. Imagine your ancestors in a life-threatening situation, like running from a wild animal. Their brains would send a quick signal to the adrenals, telling them to release cortisol and adrenaline. This rush of hormones would give them instant energy, sharper focus, and strength to escape danger. Once they were safe, cortisol would drop, the body would relax, and balance would return. This system worked perfectly in the wild, where stress came in short bursts. But fast forward to today, and most of our stress isn't physical, it's emotional and constant. Work deadlines, relationship worries, financial strain, lack of sleep, and even the constant buzz of digital notifications keep the body's alarm system switched on. The problem is that your body can't tell the difference between being chased by danger and being emotionally overwhelmed. It reacts the same way by releasing cortisol, pumping glucose into your bloodstream for quick energy, and slowing down anything non-essential, including digestion and fat burning. When that stress never stops, cortisol stays elevated for too long, and the body starts to change. It begins storing more fat, especially around the abdomen, where there are more cortisol receptors. This is why you might notice that your belly grows softer even when your diet hasn't changed much. Your body isn't trying to punish you, it's trying to protect you. Cortisol signals your system to hold on to energy in case of future stress. When cortisol levels remain high, your metabolism naturally slows. It's as if your body moves into energy-saving mode, storing every calorie it can. You may find that the same meals and workouts that once helped you lose weight suddenly stop working. The body becomes resistant to letting go of fat because it's living in survival mode. Even more frustrating is that high cortisol levels can cause your hunger hormones to shift. You start craving salty, fatty, and sugary foods because your brain associates them with quick comfort and safety. What begins as a biological survival mechanism turns into an emotional cycle of stress, eating, guilt, and even more stress. This is the quiet loop that keeps so many women stuck, doing everything right but seeing little progress. There's also a deeper connection between cortisol and your energy patterns. Normally, cortisol follows a natural rhythm called the circadian cycle. It should be highest in the morning to help you wake up, focus, and get moving, and lowest at night to help you relax and fall asleep. But when stress becomes chronic, that rhythm flips. You may wake up tired and wired, struggle through the day, and feel restless at night. This disrupted cycle not only affects sleep quality, but also interferes with how your body regulates blood sugar and appetite. Over time, it leads to increased fat storage, mood swings, and even hormonal imbalances that make weight management even harder. Everyday stressors might not seem dangerous, but your body treats them as if they are. That traffic jam, that argument, that late night worry, they all send the same signal to your brain that you are under threat. The longer this continues, the more your body adapts to that constant signal. This adaptation looks like stubborn weight gain, slower digestion, and a lack of energy even when you rest. High cortisol doesn't just affect your waistline, it affects your whole system, including your thyroid function, immune response, and even your menstrual cycle. It's all connected. When cortisol is out of balance, everything else in your body starts to shift out of balance too. To understand how cortisol affects fat storage more directly, imagine it as the body's command to save fuel. It tells your cells to store glucose as fat because the body anticipates that it will need extra energy soon. It especially encourages fat storage around the belly because that's the easiest place for your body to access energy quickly when needed. That's why women who are constantly under stress tend to gain more visceral fat, the type that sits deep around organs. This kind of fat is not only stubborn but also dangerous because it increases inflammation and raises the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and hormonal disorders. You might be eating right, but if your stress response is constantly triggered, your body will keep protecting those energy stores as if it's preparing for a crisis that never ends. When cortisol dominates your system, it also disrupts other hormones that regulate hunger and fullness. Leptin, the hormone that tells you when you've eaten enough, becomes less effective. Ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger, becomes more active. Together, they make you eat more and feel less satisfied. This isn't lack of discipline, it's chemistry. The more stress you experience, the stronger your cravings become. That's why stress eating feels impossible to control. It's not about weakness, it's about biology. Understanding this removes guilt and helps you see that managing stress is just as important as managing calories or workouts. There's another layer to the story. When cortisol remains high for too long, it starts breaking down muscle tissue to release amino acids for quick energy. This is called catabolism. Since muscle is the most metabolically active tissue in your body, losing it means your metabolism slows even further. The result is that you may burn fewer calories even when you're at rest. The body prioritizes survival over strength, but that survival mode keeps you stuck in a low energy state where fat loss becomes nearly impossible. Many women think they need to eat less and exercise more, but when cortisol is unbalanced, that approach can backfire and raise stress levels even more. Cortisol also affects insulin sensitivity. When it stays high, your body becomes less responsive to insulin, meaning your cells have a harder time absorbing glucose for energy. This leads to more sugar in your bloodstream, which then gets stored as fat. Over time, this cycle can lead to insulin resistance and make losing weight even harder. The more insulin resistance you develop, the more fat your body stores, and the higher your cortisol levels climb. It's a feedback loop that feels like being trapped inside your own body, fighting against your biology every day. But while cortisol can work against you when unmanaged, it's not the enemy. Your goal isn't to eliminate cortisol, but to balance it. The key is teaching your body that it's safe again, that it doesn't need to hold on to fat as protection. You do this by addressing the small stressors that keep your system on edge. Slow breathing, mindful breaks, proper sleep, and balanced meals all signal safety to your brain. Even taking a short walk or spending a few minutes outside can lower cortisol levels significantly. These moments of calm tell your body it can shift from survival to recovery, from storing to burning. Now let's look at how cortisol specifically targets belly fat. This area of the body is particularly sensitive to stress hormones. When cortisol levels rise, fat cells in the abdomen become more active at storing energy. The blood flow to this region increases, and enzymes responsible for fat storage become more efficient. It's almost as if your body has a built-in emergency pantry right around your midsection. This type of fat isn't just about appearance. It's metabolically active and releases inflammatory chemicals that affect your overall health. When you carry extra belly fat, it's often a reflection of how your body's coping with prolonged stress. Scientists have observed that even when total body fat remains constant, women under chronic stress store more fat in their abdominal region compared to those with balanced cortisol levels. That's why two people can eat the same meals and exercise the same amount, yet have completely different results. It's not just diet and activity, it's hormonal environment. High cortisol encourages the storage of visceral fat, while balanced cortisol supports the burning of stored energy. You may have noticed that during calm periods of your life, your body feels lighter, digestion improves, and weight naturally stabilizes. That's not coincidence. It's hormonal harmony at work. There's another interesting effect of cortisol that often goes unnoticed. When levels are high, blood sugar rises because your body is preparing for action. If you're not physically active during this state, that excess sugar has nowhere to go and eventually converts to fat. So even if you're not eating extra calories, chronic stress can still lead to weight gain. This is why relaxation isn't a luxury, it's a biological necessity. The calmer your nervous system, the better your metabolism functions. So how do you begin to shift this pattern? It starts with awareness. Recognize the situations, thoughts, and routines that keep your stress response active. Sometimes it's not the big crises, but the small, repeated pressures that wear your body down. Constant multitasking, skipping meals, lack of rest, and even over-exercising can raise cortisol levels. Balance is the antidote. Nourish your body with steady meals that include protein, fiber, and healthy fats to stabilize blood sugar. Move your body with intention, but avoid exhausting yourself daily. Recovery days are not a sign of weakness. They are how your hormones reset. Learning to calm your inner alarm is the real key to unlocking fat loss. When cortisol drops, your insulin stabilizes, your hunger hormones rebalance, and your body feels safe enough to release stored fat. Think of it as moving from a place of defense to a place of trust. Each time you slow your breath, choose rest, or speak kindly to yourself, your body hears that message and begins to heal. That's when the transformation truly begins. Understanding the link between cortisol, stress, and fat storage changes everything. It shifts the focus from punishing your body to supporting it. When you realize that your body's resistance is not sabotage but protection, you stop fighting against yourself and start working with your biology. Cortisol is not just a hormone to fear, it's a teacher showing you where balance is missing. And once you learn how to listen, the path to a healthier, leaner, and more peaceful body becomes much clearer. There is a moment most women can relate to. You've had a stressful day, you come home exhausted, and before you know it, your hand reaches for that cookie, the chocolate bar, or the leftover dessert in the fridge. It almost feels automatic, like your body is making the decision for you. This is not about weak willpower or a lack of discipline. This is about cortisol, the stress hormone that influences your hunger, your cravings, and even your emotional responses to food. When cortisol levels rise, your body begins to crave comfort foods rich in sugar, salt, and fat because these foods trigger a temporary sense of pleasure and calm. Your brain releases dopamine, a feel-good chemical that creates momentary relief, but that relief doesn't last long. Soon after, your blood sugar crashes, your cortisol rises again, and the cycle repeats itself. This craving trap is one of the biggest reasons stress and weight are so closely connected. Cortisol changes the way your brain perceives hunger. When your stress levels stay high for too long, your body starts sending mixed messages. It begins to think you are in constant danger and that you need quick energy to survive. So even when you've eaten enough, you feel the urge to snack again. Your body is asking for quick glucose because it associates sugar with safety and immediate energy. It is trying to protect you, not sabotage you. Imagine your body as an intelligent system doing exactly what it was designed to do thousands of years ago, only now it's reacting to emotional stress rather than physical threat. The problem is that this survival system doesn't fit the modern lifestyle where stress is emotional, persistent, and rarely relieved through physical activity. When stress becomes chronic, the brain's reward center becomes more active, meaning food starts to feel like the easiest way to calm down. This is why so many people use food to cope with emotions without realizing it. It is not a failure of character, but a response deeply rooted in biology. The more often this happens, the more your brain associates food with safety, and the more automatic those cravings become. Over time, cortisol not only triggers emotional eating, but also makes your fat cells more efficient at storing energy. That means every snack eaten under stress is more likely to be stored rather than burned. This creates a double effect: more calories consumed and fewer burned. When cortisol levels stay elevated, insulin, the hormone that regulates blood sugar, also becomes affected. Your body starts to hold glucose in the bloodstream for longer periods, waiting to see if you'll need it for fight or flight. This constant state of readiness pushes the body to store excess sugar as fat, usually around the abdomen. This is one reason why stress eating often leads to belly fat specifically. The body is not just responding to the food, but also to the stress environment in which it is consumed. Even when the calories come from healthy foods, if they are eaten in a state of tension, your body may metabolize them differently, favoring storage rather than energy use. Think about the last time you tried to comfort yourself with food. Maybe it was after a tough conversation, a day of overthinking, or an evening of loneliness. For a moment, that food felt like peace. But as soon as the comfort faded, the guilt came rushing back, followed by frustration and more stress. That cycle feeds cortisol production even further, and the hormone begins to act like a silent amplifier of emotional imbalance. This is how stress keeps feeding itself through food. Each time you calm the mind with eating, your brain learns that food equals safety. The next time stress appears, the urge becomes stronger, more automatic, and harder to resist. It becomes a learned behavior, reinforced by biology. Understanding this connection between cortisol, emotions, and eating is the first step toward breaking the pattern. Awareness allows you to pause before reacting. Instead of judging yourself for emotional eating, start observing it. Notice what triggers it, when it happens most often, and how your body feels afterward. This awareness helps you replace automatic reactions with intentional actions. Instead of grabbing food immediately, take a deep breath, drink water, or step outside for a moment. These small interruptions signal to your brain that you're not in danger and that there's no need for cortisol to rise. Over time, these pauses retrain your stress response and reduce the intensity of cravings. Cortisol also affects how your body uses protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Under stress, your body prioritizes quick fuel, breaking down muscle tissue for energy rather than using stored fat. This means prolonged stress not only increases fat storage but also decreases muscle mass. This brings us to another hidden effect of cortisol, muscle loss. When your body is flooded with cortisol, it enters a catabolic state. This means it starts to break down complex molecules, including muscle protein, into simpler ones for immediate energy. While this may have been useful in survival situations thousands of years ago, today it works against you. Muscle tissue is your body's most metabolically active tissue, meaning it burns calories even when you are at rest. The more muscle you have, the higher your resting metabolism. But when cortisol remains high, muscle tissue begins to shrink and your ability to burn fat drops significantly. This process explains why some people who are constantly stressed feel like they are doing everything right yet still gain weight. They eat carefully, exercise regularly, but their metabolism doesn't respond. When cortisol is elevated, the body becomes resistant to change because it prioritizes energy conservation over fat loss. It assumes that you are under threat and that storing energy is safer than burning it. This makes intense workouts and restrictive diets even more stressful on the body, often backfiring by raising cortisol levels further. The result is fatigue, cravings, and slower results. You might notice that during periods of high stress, your workouts feel harder and recovery takes longer. That's cortisol's effect on your muscles. It slows protein synthesis, delays repair, and increases soreness. The body is not focused on building strength when it believes it is in survival mode. This is why rest and recovery are just as important as exercise when it comes to managing weight and health. Without enough recovery, your body interprets exercise as another form of stress rather than a positive challenge. Balanced training that includes both movement and rest helps cortisol stay within healthy limits, allowing your body to build lean muscle and burn fat efficiently. The loss of muscle mass doesn't just affect how your body looks, it affects how it functions. Less muscle means lower insulin sensitivity, meaning your body becomes less efficient at using carbohydrates for energy. This leads to higher blood sugar levels, more fat storage, and an increased risk of fatigue. It becomes a frustrating cycle where the harder you try to lose weight, the more stress your body experiences, and the more it resists change. This is why learning to balance cortisol is far more effective than simply cutting calories or increasing exercise intensity. The goal is to create a body that feels safe enough to let go of stored fat rather than one that feels forced to hold on to it. Cortisol's impact on muscle also affects posture and physical energy. When the body stays in a prolonged state of tension, the muscles become tighter, less flexible, and more prone to injury. This adds another layer to the stress equation because physical discomfort sends signals back to the brain, increasing stress perception. Over time, high cortisol can make you feel physically heavy, even if you haven't gained significant weight. The muscles lose tone and strength, and your movements feel less fluid. Restoring balance requires rebuilding muscle gradually through strength training, stretching, and proper rest. Each time you engage your muscles with intention, you send your brain a message of stability and control, which in turn lowers cortisol production. When you begin to understand that muscle is more than appearance, it becomes clear why preserving it is essential for hormonal balance. Every time you lift weights, walk briskly, or even practice yoga, you are not just burning calories, you are teaching your body resilience. Exercise in the right amount is one of the most powerful cortisol regulators. It helps your body use up the stress hormones released throughout the day, but it also encourages the release of endorphins, natural mood boosters that calm your mind. The key is balance. Overexercising, especially with intense cardio, can push cortisol higher, while moderate resistance training can bring it down and support recovery. Many women are surprised to learn that building muscle helps them reduce fat more effectively than endless cardio sessions. Muscles act like metabolic engines, burning calories continuously and improving hormonal efficiency. When cortisol drops, insulin sensitivity improves, hunger hormones stabilize, and your body begins to burn stored fat instead of storing it. It becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of health, the exact opposite of what happens under chronic stress. The body thrives when it feels safe, nourished, and strong. Cortisol and muscle are deeply intertwined, and this connection explains why stress management must be part of any effective health plan. The body is not separate systems working independently. It's one connected network where the mind influences the metabolism and emotions affect physical structure. When your thoughts calm down, your hormones follow. When your body feels stable, your mind finds peace. It's all part of the same story, and cortisol is at the center of it. To protect your muscle and balance your hormones, you need consistent nourishment and rest. Skipping meals, sleeping less, and pushing through fatigue only tell your body that danger is near. That message keeps cortisol elevated and muscles in a weakened state. Eating enough protein, hydrating properly, and getting restful sleep all signal safety to your body. They tell it that it can stop breaking itself down and start rebuilding. As your body begins to trust that it has enough resources, cortisol levels drop naturally and fat loss becomes easier. Your body's relationship with cortisol is not about punishment or failure. It's about adaptation. When stress feels constant, the body adapts to survive. When safety returns, it adapts again to heal. Understanding this gives you power. It means that every time you choose calm over chaos, recovery over exhaustion, nourishment over restriction, your body listens. Each choice lowers cortisol, preserves muscle, and teaches your system that it is safe to burn fat again. This is the deeper truth behind stress and weight that most diets ignore. It's not just about what you eat or how you move, but about how safe your body feels while doing it. When cortisol finds balance, everything else begins to align naturally. There is one area that most people overlook when they talk about stress and weight gain, and that is sleep. The way you sleep, how long you rest, and even the quality of that rest all connect deeply to cortisol levels. When you don't get enough sleep, cortisol rises, and your body interprets this as a form of stress. It does not know that you are just watching a show late at night or scrolling on your phone. It simply thinks you are in danger. That stress message tells your body to hold on to fat and prepare for another long night of survival. Poor sleep creates a hormonal storm that affects everything from hunger to fat storage, and it is one of the strongest ways cortisol quietly keeps you stuck. Imagine your body as a delicate balance of signals between your brain, your hormones, and your metabolism. When sleep is disrupted, that balance is broken. Cortisol rises in the morning when it should still be low, and you wake up already in a state of stress. Your blood sugar becomes unstable, your cravings become stronger, and your energy feels unpredictable throughout the day. This is why so many people find themselves reaching for caffeine or sugar after a night of poor rest. The body is simply looking for a way to stay awake and feel safe again. Sleep and cortisol have a two-way relationship. High cortisol makes it harder to sleep, and poor sleep raises cortisol even higher. This creates a repeating cycle that drains your energy and slows your metabolism. During restful sleep, especially deep sleep, your body repairs tissues, balances hormones, and regulates appetite hormones like leptin and ghrelin. Leptin helps you feel full, and ghrelin makes you feel hungry. When you don't sleep enough, leptin decreases and ghrelin increases, leading to stronger hunger signals, even when your body doesn't need more food. This hormonal confusion explains why after a bad night of sleep, you often crave pastries, bread, or sweets in the morning. Your body is asking for quick energy because it is still in survival mode from the night before. Over time, this constant elevation in cortisol not only makes you feel tired, but also changes how your body stores fat. When you are sleep deprived, your body starts storing fat more efficiently, particularly around the abdomen. It is as if your body assumes you will need extra energy reserves to handle another stressful night. Cortisol keeps those fat cells active and ready to store even the smallest excess calories. So while it may seem that missing a few hours of sleep is harmless, your metabolism feels it immediately. Each restless night sends the signal that the body is unsafe, and the body responds by protecting itself through fat storage. There is also a strong connection between cortisol, sleep, and your emotional stability. When cortisol is high and sleep is low, the part of your brain that controls decision-making becomes less active. This means you are more likely to make impulsive choices about food, skipping workouts, or late-night snacking. The lack of rest lowers your patience, increases emotional eating, and makes it harder to manage stress the next day. As a result, the stress and weight gain loop becomes even stronger. It is not just about the number of hours you sleep, but the quality of your rest and the calmness you bring to your body before bedtime. If you spend your evening rushing, overthinking, or staring at screens, cortisol will not have time to drop before you go to sleep. Your body enters the night in a heightened state of alertness, and even if you do fall asleep, it may not be the deep, restorative kind that allows healing and hormonal balance. When you begin to prioritize deep rest, something remarkable happens. Cortisol naturally resets. Your body's rhythm begins to restore itself, energy improves, cravings calm down, and your metabolism wakes up again. You start to feel lighter without making dramatic changes because your body finally feels safe enough to let go. The truth is, your body cannot burn fat efficiently if it feels under constant threat, and lack of sleep is one of the biggest threats to your hormonal balance. This is why creating an environment that promotes calmness before bedtime can completely transform how your body manages cortisol. Soft lighting, a cool room, and putting away your phone an hour before sleep can lower cortisol levels faster than many supplements. When your body feels safe and calm, it doesn't just rest, it repairs, rebuilds, and resets the hormones that control your weight and health. There is another part of the story that completes this picture. It's not just about sleep or food or even exercise alone. It's about teaching your body to feel safe again, to move out of survival mode and into a state of recovery. Chronic stress keeps your cortisol high because your body doesn't believe the danger has passed. To reverse this, you must show your body through daily habits that it no longer needs to stay alert. This process is not about working harder, but about slowing down intentionally. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, your stress response starts before the day even begins. Instead, if you take a few moments to breathe deeply, stretch, or express gratitude, your body receives a message of calm. That message lowers cortisol naturally and prepares your body for balance throughout the day. The most powerful way to retrain cortisol is through consistency. Small, repeated habits create new patterns in your nervous system. Taking a few minutes each day to relax, moving your body gently, eating regular meals that include protein and healthy fats, and creating short breaks during your work hours can all help reset cortisol levels. These small pauses are not wasted time, they are moments that tell your body it is safe. Every deep breath, every mindful pause, every positive thought works like a signal to your stress hormones that the danger has passed. Over time, your body begins to shift from a high cortisol state into balance. When your body feels safe, it starts working with you rather than against you. Fat storage decreases naturally, digestion improves, and energy becomes stable. This is because cortisol and insulin begin to synchronize again. Cortisol drops when it should, and insulin sensitivity improves, meaning your body can use glucose more efficiently instead of storing it as fat. This balance also improves mood and mental clarity. You start feeling more in control of your thoughts, more confident in your decisions, and less reactive to daily stressors. The process of lowering cortisol isn't just physical, it's emotional. It teaches your mind and body to communicate again in harmony. The reason so many women struggle with stress-related weight gain is that they believe they need to do more to fix it. But in truth, cortisol responds best to less pressure, not more. You cannot force your body to relax. You can only create conditions where it naturally feels safe to do so. This means slowing down, giving yourself permission to rest, and letting go of perfection. When you stop pushing your body beyond its limits, cortisol starts to decrease. You begin to notice small but powerful shifts, fewer cravings, deeper sleep, better digestion, and steady energy throughout the day. This is your body's way of saying thank you. It is no longer in survival mode, it is in recovery. Throughout this process, it's important to remember that balance takes time. Cortisol patterns are shaped over years of habits, thoughts, and experiences. Restoring them requires patience and consistency, not extremes. Each calm morning, each night of full rest, each mindful meal adds up to a stronger and more balanced you. The beauty of this transformation is that once your body learns this new rhythm, it begins to maintain it naturally. Your stress response becomes shorter, your recovery faster, and your ability to handle life's challenges stronger. This is when weight starts to come off effortlessly, not because you are restricting, but because your body no longer feels the need to protect itself with extra fat. As you continue to make calmness part of your daily routine, you might notice that your overall relationship with your body changes. You no longer see it as something to fight against, but as something to listen to. Each signal your body gives you, from fatigue to hunger to cravings, is communication. When cortisol is balanced, that communication becomes clear again. You start to trust your hunger cues, recognize when you need rest, and sense when your body feels stressed. This awareness itself lowers cortisol because awareness brings control, and control brings peace. Simple acts of self-care are powerful in this process. A morning walk, deep breathing, listening to calming music, spending time in nature, or connecting with loved ones can all lower cortisol naturally. The body doesn't need complicated solutions. It needs consistency and safety. When you fill your day with small moments that calm your nervous system, you create an internal environment where healing happens on its own. You begin to burn fat more efficiently, digest food better, sleep more deeply, and think more clearly. Your body thrives not through force, but through balance. Cortisol's story is not one of destruction, but of communication. It's your body's way of saying it's overwhelmed. When you start responding with care instead of resistance, the body responds with balance instead of protection. Stress may not disappear, but your response to it transforms. You stop living in reaction and start living with awareness. You realize that health is not found in extremes, but in harmony. Each calm moment you create teaches your body that it is safe to release tension, let go of stored fat, and return to its natural, healthy rhythm. When this shift happens, everything feels different. Food choices become easier, movement feels lighter, and rest becomes deeper. Cortisol finds its rhythm again, rising when you need energy and falling when it's time to rest. Your body no longer feels at war with itself. It functions with flow and balance, responding gracefully to daily challenges instead of reacting with stress. This is the place where healing and transformation truly begin.